and the kind of strength only pain can build. She had grown. Not just in height but in presence. In power. She was massive. Almost mythic. And still beautiful. Cole stumbled forward like a man walking into a dream he wasn't sure was his. "Sarah," he said again, as if saying it might slow time down, bring them back to before everything burned. She didn't flinch. "You left me to rot, Cole. I thought I was protecting you. You were protecting yourself." Her voice was flat calm. That was the part that hit him hardest. There was no yelling. No bitterness. Just the solid, crushing weight of someone who had already buried the part of herself that used to care. Or tried to. He looked down at her boots, too large for any regular woman, laced with thick black cords. She wasn't wearing a wedding ring. Of course she wasn't. "Why did you come back?" she asked. Cole stared at the ground. "I heard what they did. What the townspeople said about you. The freak. The monster in white. The cursed bride of Devil's Bend. You believed them? I didn't want to." "Then why did it take you 5 years?" He didn't have an answer. Only the truth. And it was ugly. "Because I was ashamed," he said finally. "Because I thought you were better off without a man like me." Sarah didn't move. "You were wrong." Then she took one step forward. The earth seemed to shift under her weight, or maybe it was just his heart collapsing. She was close now. Close enough for him to see the tears she wasn't shedding. The heat from her skin. The steel in her spine. And the ache in her still hurting soul. She raised one hand, slow and deliberate, then placed it against her own chest, over the red stain. "Take it off," she said again, softer this time. "If you still think you can." Cole's hands trembled. He wasn't sure if it was fear, guilt, or something deeper, something ancient. Reverence, maybe. The kind a man feels standing at the edge of the canyon, knowing one step could either kill him or save him. His fingers reached up and paused. Sarah closed her eyes. "Do it." He touched the fabric. It was cold. Damp with sweat or maybe nerves. He undid the first button. Then the second. Then stopped. "This ain't just a dare," he said, voice shaking. "This is a confession." Her eyes opened and they were glassy. "Then say it." "I was a coward," he said. "I thought loving you was too much for me. But losing you, watching you become someone else's nightmare because I didn't stay and fight, that's haunted me every single night. I've seen you in dreams. I've heard you call my name when no one was around." He looked down, tears gathering at the edges. "And now I'm here, and you're taller, stronger, harder than I ever thought possible. And I don't know if you're still mine." Sarah stared at him. "I was never yours, Cole. But I loved you like I was." A silence fell, heavy as snowfall. Then she lifted her hand and covered his. "I became what I had to become," she said. "They dragged me out of that church after you left. Called me cursed. Tried to break me. But I broke them instead. Every man who came thinking I was weak, learned otherwise." Cole nodded. "I believe you. I don't need you to believe me. I need to know if you still see me." "I do," he whispered. "All of you." And with that, she let him finish unbuttoning the last clasp. The dress slipped down one shoulder, revealing not seduction, but truth, the raw, bruised reality of a woman reshaped by grief, forged in rage, still bleeding from old wounds. Cole's knees nearly buckled. It wasn't the body that stunned him, it was the pain. The history. The incredible strength it took to still stand tall after all that. He looked up into her eyes, and for the first time since he'd returned, she looked almost afraid. "Do you still want me?" she whispered. And that broke him. He fell to his knees. "I never stopped." She knelt too. And in that dirt, beneath the fading orange sky, surrounded by the whispering wind and 1,000 buried memories, Cole Wheeler took the hem of her dress and kissed it like sacred ground. Sarah McKenna, the giant bride, the woman the world tried to erase, closed her eyes and let the tears fall. Not because she was weak, but because he finally saw her. Not just the strength, but the scars. And still wanted her anyway. And that was the beginning. The stars came out slow that night. They didn't say much after the tears. They just sat there, shoulder to shoulder in the dirt behind his old ranch house, her hands resting like stone slabs in her lap, his arm occasionally brushing against hers like a whisperer trying to say sorry without words. Cole had always been a quiet man, but silence with Sarah had never felt uncomfortable. Even now, even after everything, it still felt like home. Just harder, older, wiser, and broken in all the places that made them real. I kept the land, he finally said. Didn't think you'd ever want to see it again. She looked out toward the fence, now half collapsed, past the ghosted outline of the barn they used to talk about turning into a chapel. Her voice was barely a breath. I didn't. But you came. I didn't come to forgive you. I didn't come to be forgiven. She turned slowly, her gaze soft but heavy. Then why are we both still here? He looked down at his boots. Because the world kicked both of us out. And maybe the only place we still fit is each other. Her lips twitched. Not quite a smile. Not yet. She stood slowly, the firelight casting a long shadow behind her. Her frame seemed even bigger now in the dark, not because she was a giant, but because she had grown into someone who didn't need permission to take up space. I didn't come alone, she said. Cole blinked. What? I brought something with me. Someone. She turned and walked toward the wagon just beyond the edge of the firelight. His heart thudded. She reached under the canvas tarp and gently pulled something out. It took him a second to realize it wasn't a weapon. It was a boy. Maybe 6 or 7. Dark-haired. Sharp eyes. Strong jaw. The child looked at Cole, unflinching. That him? Sarah nodded. That's Cole. The boy stepped forward, cautious but curious. Cole's throat tightened. He's? Sarah met his eyes. He's mine. Cole's mouth opened, but no words came out. She knelt beside the boy, her hand resting on his shoulder. His name's Isaac. And no, he's not yours. Cole let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. Not relief, not disappointment, just grounding. He didn't deserve a child. Not after everything. I found him 2 years ago. Chained in a rail cart. They were working kids in the mines out west. Said he'd never walk straight again. But he did. Cole looked at the boy's legs, strong, steady, confident. Isaac crossed his arms. You're the man who left her? Cole swallowed. I am. You're the one she cried about in her sleep? Cole closed his eyes. Yes. There was a pause. Then the boy stepped forward and held out his hand. She cries less now. Cole looked up, stunned. Isaac shrugged. I figure you must have meant something. But I'm watching you. Cole managed a cracked smile. I'd expect nothing less. He took the boy's hand, firm and small. There was a strange warmth in it. Not forgiveness, not trust, but possibility. And for now, that was enough. Sarah walked over and sat beside Cole again. There's more you need to know. Cole nodded, eyes still on the boy now poking at the fire with a stick. I figured. They're coming. He turned sharply. Who? The men who owned him. The ones who tried to brand me again 2 months ago. Cole's voice dropped. They followed you? They don't forgive runaways, Cole. And they damn sure don't forgive women who fight back. How many? Maybe 6. But they're not just men. They're devils in skin. Cole stood. His voice was steady now. Cowboy steady. Then we end it here. Sarah tilted her head. Still think you can? He looked at her, then at the boy. Not alone. She smiled then. Not a wide one. Not a happy one. But the kind that meant something was healing. Good, she said. Because I didn't come back just to be seen. I came back to finish what they started. They didn't sleep that night. They reinforced the barn walls. Boarded up the windows. Set traps in the field. Cole unearthed the old rifle from under the floorboards. The one his father gave him and he swore he'd never use again. The one he used to keep wolves away from the cattle and men away from her. Sarah sharpened her knives in silence. Isaac loaded shells, one by one, without blinking. As the first hint of dawn touched the edge of the sky, the wind died. The air stilled, and the world went quiet, like it was holding its breath for the reckoning to come. Sarah stepped outside, barefoot in the grass. She stood there, tall as a mountain, Her dress now tied up at the waist, sleeves rolled, arms flexed. The red stain still marked her chest like a flag. But she wasn't hiding behind cloth anymore. Cole stood beside her, rifle in hand, jaw tight. "You know they won't talk first," he said. "I don't want them to." He looked at her, not the giant, not the ghost, but the woman. "Whatever happens, I'm staying this time." She didn't answer. She just reached for his hand and held it. The road in the distance groaned under wheels. Then came the dust cloud. Then the first black horses. They were here. But this time, so was she. And beside her, the man who once ran, now ready to bleed, to fight, to die if it meant she never had to stand alone again. The ground trembled. And Sarah McKenna, the bride they tried to bury, took one long breath and stepped forward. This wasn't just her war. This was her homecoming. And it would be the last time anyone dared put chains on her again. The first shot came before the sun fully rose. It split the silence with a scream of metal and hate, whistling past Sarah's ear and slamming into the fence post behind her. The boy didn't flinch. Sarah didn't blink. Cole just exhaled slowly like he'd been waiting for it. "They're nervous," Sarah muttered. Cole chambered around. "Good." The black horses charged over the hill, their riders snarling like wolves, faces half covered in red cloth, dust choking their trail. 6 of them, just like she said. All armed. All aiming for her. They weren't just bounty men. They were her past, riding on hooves of vengeance. Cole raised his rifle. "We dropped the first 2. I take the right, you take the left. Isaac stays behind the trough until it's over." Sarah nodded. Isaac, crouched low with his tiny revolver clutched in both hands, whispered, "You got this." She looked back just once. "Be proud of your scars, Isaac. They mean you survived." Then the fire started. Cole's first shot knocked the lead rider clean off his horse. Sarah moved like thunder, 2 steps and a hurl. Her knife spun midair and buried itself in another man's chest before he even screamed. The 3rd and 4th charged the barn. Cole shouted, "Go!" Sarah sprinted. The ground shook under her weight, not from her size alone, but from her purpose. She slammed into one man so hard he bounced off the side of the barn like a rag doll. The second got a shot off, it grazed her shoulder, but she didn't stop. She caught his arm mid-swing, snapped it at the elbow, and dropped him cold. The last 2 circled wide, trying to flank them. Cole saw it too late. "Sarah." But she already knew. She grabbed the fallen man's rifle and spun, firing once, missed. Fired again. The bullet clipped the rider's knee. He fell screaming. 1 left. And he wasn't aiming for her. He was riding straight for the house. For the boy. Cole turned, heart stopping. "No!" He bolted, but his boots slipped in the mud near the trough. Isaac stood frozen, eyes wide, gun shaking in his grip. The man grinned as he raised his pistol. Then Sarah was airborne. She tackled the rider clean off the horse in mid-gallop. They rolled through the dirt, and she landed on top, pinning him with one knee to his chest. "You remember me?" she growled. The man coughed blood. "Yeah. You're the cursed bride." She leaned closer. Not cursed. Just finally done begging. He reached for a knife, but she was faster. She drove her fist into his jaw, once, twice, 3 times, until he went limp. Silence. No more hooves. No more screams. Just wind, smoke, and the sound of her own breath. Cole ran to her. "You good?" Sarah stood slowly, blood on her hands, eyes shining. "I'm free." He dropped his rifle, grabbed her face, and kissed her. There was no passion in it, not yet. It wasn't lust. It wasn't desperate. It was sacred. A man returning home. A woman finally seen. Isaac watched from the porch, the little gun still shaking in his hand. Cole looked at him. "You're safe." The boy didn't speak. He just walked slowly towards Sarah, held out her veil, the one that had fallen in the chaos, and gave it back. "I think you dropped this," he said. She took it, kneeling. "Thank you, Isaac." The sun finally broke over the horizon. The ranch looked cleaner somehow. Brighter. Not because the danger was gone, but because they chose to stay. To fight. To reclaim what had been taken. Sarah looked at Cole. What now? He shrugged. You always did. She smiled. We rebuild. You really want to? I really want to do it right this time. With you. With him. He glanced at Isaac, who was already chasing a rabbit near the barn. Think he'll ever forgive me? Sarah slipped her hand into his. He doesn't have to. You're not here to fix the past. Just make sure it never repeats. They spent the day digging graves for the men who thought they could break her again. No eulogies. No markers. Just dirt and silence. That night, Sarah stood at the edge of the ranch, staring out into the wild. Cole joined her. You okay? I keep thinking about all the women still out there, she said quietly. Chained. Hiding. Waiting for someone to come back. He nodded. Then we go find them. She looked at him, surprised. You do that? I'd follow you anywhere, Sarah McKenna. Even if you drag me. She laughed. For the first time in years, she really laughed. And then she said, fine. But tomorrow. Tonight, we rest. He wrapped his arms around her waist, resting his cheek against the woman the world once tried to destroy. And as the fire crackled behind them and the stars returned to the sky, the wind whispered something different this time. Not a warning. A blessing. Because love had finally come back. Not clean. Not easy. But real. And this time, it was going to stay. If this story moved you, if it made you feel something real, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tap the notification bell so you never miss a single story that speaks to the soul. Because around here, we tell stories that remind us what it means to fight, to forgive, and to love again. We'll see you in the next one.